It's your boy Luke here for our round 4 prize picks for the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. In this video, we're going to cover my top 4 props for tomorrow's slate and go over my rationale for why I'll be adding them to my card. Of course, we'll talk about some of the strategy involved with creating your parlays on prize picks and try to give you guys a winning strategy for the last round of the tournament. Yesterday's picks weren't all that great. This is the first losing day that we've had for 6 days now, so nearly a week there of profitable picks, whether it was golf or for NBA. But unfortunately, had a little bit of a, let's say, off day. It was definitely an outlier. Guys like Patrick Cantlay only hit 10 fairways. Justin Rose was 7 of 8 of hitting fairways through 8 holes. Ended up only hitting 10 for the day. So we had a few wacky things not go our way, which is going to happen from time to time. But thing is, still 2 for 3 profiting for this golf tournament. So let's go ahead and close it out with a 3 for 4 in a huge weekend, because to this point, still up well over $1,000 for this golf tournament. So if we can end on a strong foot, could still have a really epic week. With that being said, round 4, everyone is going to be at Pebble Beach. The cut has already happened, so it's only the top 57 players in the field that have made it to the weekend, which makes our analysis a little bit easier. Not quite as many people that we have to focus on. And of course, since we're all at the same golf course, also makes hunkering down on our prop analysis, whether it's for fairways or of course greens, a little bit more simplistic as well. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop right on into the props for tomorrow. All right, guys, so on the screen, you can see the prize picks board for today. And the first props that we're going to start with are going to be birdies or better. So the first player going to be Beau Hossler, where we're taking the under at 4.5 birdies. He's one of the players currently tied for the lead. And you'll see a trend throughout our card for tomorrow are going to be guys towards the top of the leaderboard that we expect to have a little bit of trouble with the Sunday pressure, particularly guys like a Hossler that are in first place. I mean, he hasn't won an event before. He's not used to this type of pressure, particularly at this high level of an event. It's not like a typical PGA Tour event. We're at Pebble Beach. This is by far one of the events that people circle on their event every year, on their schedule every year, that they really want to go out and win. So Hossler, even though he had a great day on Friday, same thing today on Saturday, I don't expect him to be able to back that up 3 days in a row. We saw that with the Seamus Power. He had his 2-day stretch, of course, really cooled off on Saturday. So not only are we dealing with the Sunday pressure, but also just the accumulation of negative regression that we expect to come into the future. I expect him, I have him projected right now for 3.6 birdies, which gives us quite a bit of leeway there, almost an entire stroke difference. But in reality, I don't see him hitting over 5 birdies very often. That's really the kicker here. In terms of pushing or at least just getting to 4 birdies, he's doing that a whopping 72% of the time. So that gives us a very nice solid edge right there. 28% failure rate, which makes it one of my favorite plays on the board. Speaking of guys that are priced a little bit too high, also a lower pedigree player than their peers is going to be Nick Taylor. He's not towards the top of the board. He's not at 15 under or anything like that. But at the same time, he's also somebody who's not very aggressive. He's not one of the higher birdie or better percentage players on the PGA Tour. In fact, he's in the bottom 200 on tour. So somebody who's not used to going out there making 5 or 6 birdies in the same round. And even though he had a completely clean scorecard today, only got to 3 under, so it's not like he was out there making birdies in bunches. He's won this golf tournament before. That's why you see him bumped up here to 4.5 birdies. That's not enough to make me want to take the over. So much like somebody like a Beau Hossler, it's not impossible for him to hit the over there. We're looking at right around a 70% positive rate right there, as opposed to a 30% failure rate, which makes him one of my favorite plays on the board as well. But even more so important here, my favorite play on the board by far, actually edging both of these two here, is Maverick McNealy at 5 birdies or better. He's somebody who's a hometown kid. Tons of people bet going into the week. He had great performances here last year and the year before that. His first ever stops back to his hometown. The issue is he hasn't been good this time around, and a lot of that was just due to pure chance, pure coincidence. This is somebody who, in terms of a course fit, is not ideal here at Pebble Beach. He relies a little bit more on the distance, the around the green play, getting up and down, and of course the putting. But at Pebble Beach, we're looking for guys that are elite iron players. There are more bunkers around Pebble Beach than at any other golf course on the PGA Tour. So as a result, we are looking for guys that can not only keep themselves out of that trouble, but of course put themselves in scoring opportunities as well, particularly with these guys with birdie or better. We want guys that are putting themselves in plenty of scoring spots. Nick Taylor, not a very aggressive player. Maverick McNeely, better at cashing in at those opportunities, but doesn't give himself all that many looks. Same thing with the Beau Hossler. So that's why we're going to be taking the under on those three. In terms of overs, I'm looking at the individual props. So we go and take a look at greens and regulation. I do like going to Patrick Cantlay once again. We did not get him right today. He was somebody who we took the over on the greens and regulation. He only ended up hitting 10, but he's by far one of the better iron players in this field. In fact, in terms of shots gained approach, he's the best player in this field over the last 24 measured rounds. And players on average are hitting 13.5 greens at Pebble Beach. So if he's an above average player, we should easily expect him to hit 14, at least on an average day. So we could throw yesterday's outlier aside, especially when he's in Sunday contention. He usually elevates his game to the highest level. So as a result, the 13 number that we missed on yesterday, I am going right back to it. If you're not comfortable going back to that number, if you feel a little bit burned yesterday, a good replacement would be the Jordan Spieth fairways. I have it at 8.5. I will also be taking the over there. He's not the best driver, at least in terms of his accuracy over the years, but this week at Pebble Beach, he's been excellent. He's been hitting well over 70% of fairways, which isn't something that we're used to seeing from Jordan Spieth. That's why his number down here is still at 8.5 fairways. But if he can continue that momentum that we saw on Saturday, I mean, the guy shot 9 under par, looks like an absolute stud. We'll hit well over that number. He was able to do that on Saturday at the very least. So if he can continue that momentum, I like the over there as well. A few other replacements you could look at across the board. So if we go over here to the birdies or better mark, a few guys I actually wanted to consider taking some of the overs on is Jimmy Walker at 4 birdies or better. The fact that we don't have the hook there at 4.5 really does make a pretty big difference. Justin Rose, 4.5 birdies. You could convince me to take some of that as well. If we go over to greens and regulation, I also like some of these elite iron players. Going back to Justin Rose, who, yes, burned us yesterday, wouldn't be all that bad an idea. Taking the under on Nick Taylor is something I would also consider taking. So if you don't like this birdies or better number, you think, hey, maybe he makes some 40-footer putts, right? Ends up making some extra birdies that we don't expect. He's still not the best iron player on tour. In fact, a loser in terms of shots gained approach for his career. So that is an avenue that you could take. You could take the over on Jordan Spieth's greens and regulation. Again, he looked great yesterday. Same thing with Jason Day, also an elite iron player. In terms of unders, you could take a look at Maverick McNeely's iron play. Like we said, the only reason he's not a great course fit here is because of the iron play. So if you just want to fade the iron play itself, could take the under for Maverick McNeely. Same thing with Tom Hoge. Beau Hossler in terms of his greens and regulation. That's also something I really wanted to add to the card. So if you don't like taking the under 4.5 right there, you could also very much consider this Hossler under greens and regulation. In terms of some of the fairways hit, a few other ones I wanted to consider is the Nick Taylor under on fairways hit. Much like the other props we're targeting for the under there, I don't expect him to have a very good Sunday. And he's priced among some of the elite drivers of the golf ball, like a Jason Day, Matt Fitzpatrick, Pat Perez, and Russell Knox, that are among the most accurate on the PGA Tour. A few other that you could consider, the over on Justin Rose. He is an extremely accurate driver. The under on McNeely, not very accurate off the tee. Is much longer than he is accurate. Also the under on Hossler. He's also somebody that, much like a Maverick McNeely, they're very similar players in general. Longer off the tee than he is accurate. So you could consider taking the under on a Beau Hossler. But that's all I've got from my cards. As always, guys, a little bit of strategy talk. Going to want to take tons of flexes. I don't expect power plays to be very lucrative here. Because it's golf, we're dealing with a 1-round sample size. I mean, we saw what can happen today. Guys like Cantlay can go out and completely fall on their face, right? No one would expect that. He's the number 4 ranked player in the world, but that's going to happen from time to time. So go ahead, protect yourself. Make sure you guys are using some flex plays. We went over 5 main picks. I will have a 5-leg flex play for that, but my main card is just going to be these top 4. That's going to be the only power play that I'm playing, these 4 up top here. And I'm going to have at least 4 to 5 cards for tomorrow. A lot of the other props that I mentioned, going to some of the fairways props, particularly for a Hostler, McNeely, that type of thing, that's going to be something I target in some of these extra cards rather than these birdies or better number. And of course, with some of the overs, I'll have some where I'm using that Jordan Spieth fairways number, some where I'm using the greens and regulation number from Patrick Cantlay, or even the Justin Rose numbers that we were speaking about, so on and so forth. So that's how we're going to make our cards. I'd say my top play on the board, the Maverick McNeely under 5 birdies or better. The fact that we get that push at 5 birdies makes it feel really safe. If I had to pick a second, it would be the Cantlay over greens regulation. It's really seems like a lock. He's one of the best iron players on tour. I know it didn't end up coming through today, but that was a huge outlier. For today's picks, hopefully we can have a little bit of a bounce back after today's debacle. I'm expecting to have a much better performance than what we've had, and of course to finish off this tournament strong and end with 3 out of the 4 days being profitable. Down in the comments before you get out of here, go ahead and let me know what your favorite prop on the board is. Also, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're going to have even more prize picks content coming for all of the golf tournaments this year. And of course, regular DFS and course breakdown content for you guys for every event as well. I have a little bit of extra content for the NFL, NBA, and MMA. So make sure to subscribe for all of that data-based content. Good luck with all of your prop hunting for tomorrow. Again, make sure you guys go ahead and let me know what your favorite prop on the board is down in the comments. And I'll see you guys next time.